Thanks, David. Thank you.
Thanks you so much for coming.
Sure.
So, what do we do about this free speech thing?
Well, it's too late. Too late to stop it now. People want to speak, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's like anything else. Everything starts out as a great idea and then just dwindles down to, you know, destroyed by us.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your show.
Thanks.
Great reviews all the way around. It's been extended through March. It even had great reviews in both the New York Times and the National Review.
Yes, I know. I was.
I mean, mission accomplished. What did you? Were you surprised by this feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot of weird reviews anyway in my career, so it's like, you know, at a certain point you just become numb to any abuse of it. So I was surprised and happily surprised I was getting good reviews. But I mean, yeah, obviously, you know, I mean, getting reviews, it's supposed, I mean, that's how I am anyway. I'm not really left or right.
Right, and
you know.
And every single one of the reviewers got something out. It was like a Rashomon thing.
Right.
You know, where they were each hearing, yeah, Colin's telling it like it is, and each side heard their own thing.
Right. That's the weird thing, is like after the show, the whole show is about how everybody's just, this is just ridiculous and how we're all not that bright yet, you know, as far as human nature. And then people come up to me after the show going, yeah, like they start yelling about the same things that I'm complaining about. My show is me complaining that people have the right to complain on social media, basically. I mean, if you really look at it past the opening level, it's just me being a hypocrite and saying nobody should be allowed to say all these things except for me. But I'm trying to hide it. But they're just, but it's like everybody just goes right back into, everybody's in this so locked in right now.
Yeah.
It's like mass brainwashing, mass hysteria, you know?
You did a lot of research for both, like, this show, for your constitutional show. Did you find anything surprising, like, in the founding of the country or the discourse in that process?
Yeah, just that it never really took off the way, you know, it's just been a fight the whole way. Like, in the Constitution show, I always say, like, it was fine when nobody knew what anybody else was doing. But since social media, everybody knows exactly how everybody else is. So you can't just be like, I never see them anyway. You see everybody in each other's face all day, you know?
Well, that's interesting, because are we, like, now breeding these internet-savvy personas to excel, as opposed to, like, the policy wonks that we created, like, in high school elections, you know, that we hated them before? Like, is this what we are creating now?
Yeah, I wonder, because, like, I'll just take comedians, for example. Like, a lot of comedians suddenly became very serious people. And so I always say everybody's trying to be funny on social media except comedians. But it's like suddenly people, this other side is almost like, remember Beyonce had like that side personality, I forget the name, and if I knew the name, you'd all be creeped out. Sasha Fierce, thank you. And I shouldn't have even been that quick to know what you were talking about, but I did. But I'm just saying, I feel like online people do have this side personality now, where people I know, and I'm like, they just online they're a different person than they are in real life. Well, that's the other weird thing.
You had a side personality before.
Oh, online, yeah.
No, not online. In your book, you talk about Colin.
That's quite a jump, but all right, yeah. Back when I used to drink in my early 20s, but I used to pretend to be, I was trying to pick up girls, and I would pretend I had an Irish accent, like, I mean, I would just put on this Northern Irish accent. It's not as lame as it sounds. It was a specific Belfast. It wasn't like a Lucky Charms guy. This was like a serious, I was doing serious character work. And I would just sit at the bar by myself, because nobody wanted to hang out with me anyway, because I was like the real, you know, typical idiot drunk. And I'd just be like, hey, how you doing? And I'd be talking to like all these people, and I'd say my name was Colin, and I would hint around that I was from Belfast and I had to leave under murky circumstances because of IRA thing, you know. So it ended a lot of times. It ended in a lot of violence, where I was caught a lot of beatings. I'll be honest, but you know, but that was my plan, and it seemed like it worked for a while. Like, it would work for like a half hour, and then something would happen where I'd be exposed, or the girl would just be like, you said you're from Brooklyn or something, and I'd be like, oh, you know, and it never really panned out the way I had it planned in my head. Look, I'm not proud of it. I'm just saying it was an idea, you know? You're in your early 20s, you want to meet women or men, and you have ideas. That was my idea. I committed to it. And I would just lock in it's the mind, like after a couple of beers, I was like, I'm Colin now. And I'd walk in, I had like a green corduroy jacket with patches and like an Irish sweater. If you saw me at that time, I know now it looks like it wouldn't have, at that time, it could have worked on you. You'd be surprised. Smoking, the bar, tortured.
So like, getting back to your show.
Yes.
Like,
but I forgot to say, I had read this one big book called Trinity about the Irish. So I stole the name. I stole every aspect of the guy's personality, except that was set in the 1800s and mine was in the 1970s.
Right.
So everything else was just right from that book. So anybody who read the book, yeah, Leon Uris.
Yeah.
And it was a popular book, so I probably got caught out a few times on that one too.
Well, you're a reader, like.
I love to read, yeah.
And so like Joyce. Other
Yes.
Irish,
Yeah.
Anything else that is like really impressed you greatly?
I mean, not late, but I mean, my favorite book of all time is called Confederacy of Dunces, which is like, to me, the funniest book ever written, and I still read it all the time. I'm obsessed with it my whole life. But I mean, yeah, I love to read.
You said it was a test for dating.
Yeah, I actually used it. I used to buy it for whatever girlfriend I was dating. I'm not coming across good in this, I get it. People are like, this guy's a monster. Fraudulent accents, testing people with books. Hey, I never said I was a great guy. I'm a comedian. Nice is not funny. So I would just, I would give the book to whatever girl I was dating, and she'd say, hey, it's a great book. And, if she liked it, then I felt like we connected. And if she didn't like it, I was like, oh, man, this is good. But girls gave me books to test, too,
Any remember?
Frankenstein, which I never read before, and I was like, wow, it's deep, it's so much deeper. And speaking of today, there's something about Frankenstein, I've been thinking about Frankenstein lately, which is like, the thing on social media is people, we do love, I love it too, to go after somebody that you don't like the instinct of vigilante, just get them. It's such a human nature thing. It's just crazy.
And we've made it a lot more efficient now.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Frankenstein was a good guy. When you read the book, you're like, oh, Frankenstein was the monster was a good guy, and the doctor was a good guy. It just was, he had like a bad spin, like they just caught it, you know what I mean?
Bad PR.
It almost was like a early social media commentary.
Next project.
Yes.
So like speaking of the social, like Hobbes talked about social contract. So we're now in this new phase of social media contract. What does that look up? What are we giving away, and what do we get in return now?
Well, I mean, like I say, it is in some ways you expose so much stuff, right? But at the same time, nothing can really get done because everybody's got a little bit of something. You see how many times you have people pointing something out, and then people go, let's go over your tweets in the past. Everyone's like, whoa, it's just, everybody's a little bit guilty. So in a way, I guess, I'm not sure where it goes from here, but it's, like nobody's pure, And I think,
have you changed your behavior, like your social, like you started doing something right when the internet came out, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, that's a big mistake. I'm never going to do that again.
Well, no, but my whole social media thing was ironic from the beginning, so it's kind of like this, like I'm just literally like a troll. Even when I'm trying to be on social media, I'm always like even, I'm just like talking about the weather, just my whole thing is like it's just like kind of ironically, it was funny at the beginning. I was telling you backstage, when I first started Twitter, like 2009 or whatever, and I was like, Will Ferrell, he had won this Mark Twain Award, and I was like, well, people see him as a nice guy, but when I worked at SNL, it was quite the opposite. He was, he stole Anchorman. That was my script. It was on my desk. And then I came by later, and he was putting it in a copy machine. And then I said, but, I don't blame him. It's heroin does that to people. But then it became like a real thing where suddenly, the HuffPost and everybody's like saying, Colin Quinn says Will Ferrell is a heroin addict and then a heroin dealer. I called him a dealer. And then people are calling me, and finally it became like I had to make a retraction because, but so I've always been like, just obviously joking on Twitter. I've never said a sincere thing on Twitter in my life.
Well, that leaves me in your show, you talk about that we're breaking up the country.
Yeah.
It needs to be, or it will be. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So a tweet like yours maybe will be the Fort Sumter of tweet, that you may start something that gets, expressed.
You mean joking and then it becomes a real thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Like the mouse that roared.
You're right, though, but you're right. A tweet probably will start our next war. It will be a tweet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you anticipate something like that.
Oh, my God.
So, like, one thing that is on my mind a lot is that it's relentless. Like, the churn that we get, so much information, so much.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a time where I could go 2 weeks without knowing what the president was doing. Right?
Yeah.
So, do you disconnect? I know it's part of your work, but, like, do you find ways that you can actually really disconnect from that whole thing?
I mean, I haven't yet, but I mean, you can't, because you just, it's just this thing. You just are compelled. You have to go to your phone. Like I'm just like, nah. And then when you have to disconnect for an hour or two, you feel great. But then you're like, oh, you catch up and you feel like for the first minute I'm catching up. I'm like, I'm so happy. And then I just get that sick thing where like I've seen this 100 times. Everybody's saying the same thing. I'm saying the same. Everybody's just this, But at first I'm just like, yeah, it feels happy to come back and say hello. It's like meeting your friends. When you meet a friend for dinner that you used to be good friends with, and then you're like, oh, I haven't seen them in a long time, and you remember the good times. And then after a minute, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? It's the same old feeling,
Yeah.
No offense to all my friends, but,
So, like, one concept in your show, you talk about people not listening, that we just talk.
Right.
And, like, Twitter is a cacophony of shouting, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, how do we fix that? Have you seen that ever in history where it's just like people had stopped listening and then they started, or there was some event, that brought us together more so?
I mean, right. I mean, obviously, like after 9/11 in New York, the month after 9/11 was the weirdest New York. No horns honking, nobody yelling at each other. It was the strangest time where people would just, and you're like, oh, people can act nice if they want,
Yeah.
Everybody was nice to each other. It was a weird time, And then one day, people started honking. You just started hearing horns honk. You hadn't heard them for a month. I mean, it was crazy. And then it was back to normal. But I mean, my ideas would be, like, if I could be in charge of society, what I would do is I would make, once a year, have a constitutional convention and just have everybody, whoever you would choose to speak, but everybody in the country also would have to agree. Whatever gets said here, you can't attack it. You have to let it be spoken. Like, this is the safe space where everybody says what they want. You can't have articles the next day. It's not like a popularity thing. Just kind of everybody speaks, like you get what's considered the best minds or whatever, and just have everybody speak honestly, but you can't attack them. Now, I don't know how you'd pull that off, but you know what I mean? Like, because part of it is us. That we're like, that person's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to pick one symbolic thing. You know what I mean? Like I talk about Trump. I say, after Trump leaves, our problem is the divide doesn't go away. He's just a symbol of it. But you know what I mean? So people are like, we got to get rid of Trump. Yeah, but once he leaves, that still doesn't change the inherent problems that the divides or whatever. So that's just one problem. So I'm just saying, instead of it being just attacking a person and thinking you could crush that symbol by crushing that person, it's like I would like it to be more a more intelligent conversation about what's really, where people could be honest and say what they really feel and just try to figure this out,
And you've said before, like, Trump is just one part of the, like, a symptom of that disconnect that we have.
Right. He's just a symptom, yeah.
Yeah. But here in New York, we've had plenty of people, like different people, and you talk about it in your book and in your show, about like how we've gotten over it. Like we've a new group will come in, and after a rough time, it will get integrated, to then hate the next group that comes, that people.
Right. Oh, you mean when I was growing up and stuff, yeah.
Right. Like so like, is living in New York that experience that people need to actually to be able to listen, or just to be able to coexist?
No, I mean, I feel like New York is, New York, even when I was growing up, like I look back on it now, I grew up, was very mixed, black, white, Puerto Rican, and we got along better. I would say everybody understood each other better than they would say in places where they wouldn't be around each other all the time. But people seemed to separate. By the time I was like 17, people were going more away from each other towards their own group, and it was just we changed a lot ourselves. Everybody did. So I don't know. I don't know what that. I don't know. You know, you could have a racial constitutional convention and a red state, blue state constitutional convention. Just a country of conventions where people are talking all the time. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say that every time I watch any show on TV, it just deteriorates into people just locking in, and it's just strange that we're still doing the same thing, even though the results are not going the way that we would want them to go, you know?
So you have been raised in like so many parts of Brooklyn, like
right.
Bensonhurst, Flatbush, Park Slope. Like, how is it like, do you go back and visit and like these places?
Oh no, I'm one of those people, I'm one of those cliche New York people that just sits there and kicks myself, because we used to work on the houses. Like, we would work on the houses in Park Slope when people would buy them. Yeah. Remember, friends they'd bring in, you know, these kids, like 15-year-olds with 15 were doing the floors, doing the, you know, just all the prep work and all. And I'd be going, look at these idiots buying houses in Park Slope, Sterling Place, 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue. I was like, these people are psychotic. Like, I wanted to live in Valley Stream. That was my dream. I said, Valley Stream, Long Island, that's where I wanted to live, because my cousins lived there and it was nice. And I just had no idea. And now I look and I'm like, I would have been a billionaire. I would have been bigger than Howard Schultz right now. I'd be sitting and going, hey, listen, I came from Brooklyn and now I'm a billionaire. I'm going to be president of the United States. But I mean, it's crazy. And Williamsburg, I was like, Williamsburg was like gangs when I was a kid. It was just like a wild neighborhood, you know, Bushwick. I mean, it was crazy. So it's like, I wouldn't have, you know. So I look back at my life and I realize it was basically what I'm saying is an unmitigated failure. Instead of being a comedian, sitting at a bar doing an Irish accent, I should have been real estate mogul.
How did you get into comedy? Like, where? Like,
I was bartending, and I was a bartender and a waiter, you know, at all these different restaurants. And I was like, you know, I wanted to be an actor in the back of my head, but I was like, I didn't know how to go about being an actor. It was like, you know, I was just like a haphazard person. And then, luckily, this is the early '80s, I started doing comedy, and comedy was just starting to boom. But I didn't realize that at the time. So I started, and I'd wait online, and every week on the line, every week, most weeks, it was me, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, waiting on these lines to get into like open mic and do 5 minutes. And we all got to know each other. And so it was like 1984 probably. And then we started to pass at these clubs, and everybody started, and it was just this little group of comedians, but it was so much smaller than today. It was, in some ways, it was easier. I mean, there was a lot of comedians around that didn't make it, but it was just such a small world compared to today, you know.
Did your parents like were they big fans of this? Did they, you know, support you through that, or?
Well, I mean, I was already like in early 20s by then. I wasn't even living at home, you know. So it was like, you know, and they weren't living with each other anyway. So it was like, they were glad I was doing something. They were just like, yeah, that's great, you know. Nobody thought about comedy. Everybody's just like, comedy was like a crazy thing.
Right.
Like in those days. Like, hey, this guy's a comedian. People would just, it was so much easier to be a comedian in those days, because you would just go on a stage and people would start getting excited, like, there's somebody gonna be a comedian on stage. Like, nobody ever saw a comedian before. Now people are like, oh, my cousin does that for 7 years, and I tried it for 2 years. You know, it's not a big deal anymore, but back then everybody's like, ooh, comedian.
Okay, so you lived in Park Slope for
most of my childhood. I grew up in Flatbush, then Park Slope, then Bensonhurst. I lived with my girlfriend, then Astoria, Queens, then I lived in Staten Island for a brief period of time. I don't talk about that. No, I'm kidding. And then I lived in Manhattan. I lived in like Yorkville, like East 78th, between 1st and York. Then I lived on 45th between 9th and 10th. But in those days, just in the 80s, those apartments were so cheap. I won't even say it because, you know, everybody will kill me. But it was like really, I lived on East 10th between A and B, like $400 a month. And it was almost like a whole floor. It was crazy, you know, because they were considered bad neighborhoods back then.
Right. I read your book. It's funny, and it's also a lot of autobiographical. I don't think I've ever read a book where the person gets punched so much.
Yeah.
Like all over every chapter. I think
Yeah.
you get beat up.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was a very what they call beer muscles. I was a very tough guy in here. So I would go to bars, and I always wanted to be 6'8", like 240. Like my whole life, even when I was a little kid, I resented the fact that, like, I'd see Connie Hawkins was my childhood idol. He was a basketball player. And I was like, how come he's 6'8" and I'm not 6'8"? So my whole life so when I would get drunk, I'd be like, look at that bouncer. How come he gets to be 6'5" and I'm, 5? So I just flick my cigarettes at him. And then they'd beat me out. Literally, I didn't just get punched a lot. I get punched out into the street, like the old school beatings where you go flying out of the club. Because I go after hours. There's a lot of after hours clubs in New York. So I was a bartender all night, so I'd go drinking after hours. So it'd be like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. I'm walking out, like my shirt's all ripped, all bloody, walking home,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it actually ends up being like part of your philosophy. You talk about, I think a friend of yours, Harry, mentioned there's a never punched in the face club. And
right,
two types of people: those who have been punched in the face and those that haven't. And those that
my friend came up with that one.
Yeah, that people that have a certain amount of respect for each other.
Right.
The others that haven't.
Right. They don't just say cat. Well, that's another thing from social media. People talk a lot. There was digital soldiers, whatever, computer guy, and so people just say a lot of nasty stuff. And it's like, this stuff is going to lead to war. That's why I worry sometimes, because I'm like, you can't just keep talking to people, ridiculing, attacking people. People are going to react one day. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not human nature to just think people are just going to take your abuse. It's just the way it goes. It's been proven in every society, including ours, many times.
But maybe that part of that is that people haven't been either punched in the face. I'm sure we could fix that.
Right.
But or that people haven't been punched in the wallet, or like wage
Right.
inequality is one of the things that people talk about greatly. And you
Sure.
mentioned, like with people driving up with Lamborghinis.
Oh, right. Like lecturing, some sheet metal worker from, the red states and stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's real stuff. It's like people just talking, it's spraying people. Like a lot of people in the media or in showbiz, whatever, just telling people, look, this is how you have to. The problem to me is like the whole country's built on the fact that you get to decide for yourself how to think. That's the only thing that everybody kind of says, well, that's one thing we came up with. And now everybody's just trying to force everybody to think the way they think, and it's not working.
Yeah. You grew up, your parents were teachers?
Yeah.
And so how did that shape you? Like what type of teacher?
I mean, because my parents were, my mother was just, well, I almost said just a housewife. My mother only became a teacher after my parents got divorced. She went to college. She didn't go to college before that, so she did it later in life. And she taught special ed. My father taught English, and so she was a special ed teacher all over Brooklyn. And so yeah, it just taught me to read, to like reading, Mm-hmm. I love to read from early ages. That was my other part of my thing with my jacket and my Irish thing. I always had a book. I usually had like a play. Like I said, I was going to be an actor, and so I always had like a little play tucked in my pants pocket or my jacket pocket. And then I'd be at the play. You ever see like a pompous asshole at the bar breaks out a play and starts reading by himself? That was me. Strindberg, I'd be like, yeah.
So did you get any plays? Did you do that?
Did I get into any plays?
Yeah.
I got in 2 plays, and one was just this weird. I mean, I can't even tell you what they were about to this day, but they were like these weird experimental plays in the East Village in like the early '80s, where one was it was just some lady was pretending to swim the whole time, and then I had to carry her around like I was like the swimmer. I mean, I was in pretty good shape when I think about it, carrying somebody around a whole play, I mean, I was like 23. Even at the end of the play, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is really hard. And then I was in some other play where it was just like I can't even remember what it was about. It was just insane, But I was the worst. I was the worst employee. When I was drinking, all I would be thinking about is just sitting there smoking, plotting how to get more drinks. So I didn't even care about anything I was doing other than that. Even when I bartended, I'd be like, trying to get back to my drinks. I was really a compulsive personality.
So how did you get to Remote Control, which I remember? It was super fun.
Yeah. I was doing stand-up. I had quit drinking, so that's why I did stand-up. Because I was like, I have nothing to lose. That was the only thing I really liked, I had nothing to lose. It was like they took away my best friend. So I started doing stand-up because I was like, I don't care if I bomb in front of people. It's nothing compared to this, you know? And so I was doing stand-up for like 3 years, and then they just saw me at a club, and then they hired me because my voice was even more like this because I smoked 3 packs a day. So I talked like this, even though I was like 28. I talked like this. So they thought it was funny. I thought they were hiring me for my brilliant comedy. It was a disconnect. So I thought they get that I'm a great comic. They were just like making fun of the fact that my voice was so stupid. So the first week we had a big fight, me and the MTV bosses, where I was like, I quit this show. You know what I mean? Like, because I was like, I'm not doing commercials for you. I just had this whole idea. I'm like, what? I got to do the advertisement. So I ended up. I was so resentful that I ended up doing the advertisements like really sarcastically for their products, to where the people that advertise Casio or Mitsubishi, like they're like, this guy's disrespectful. Either he starts doing our advertisements sincerely or he's out. And I was like, I'm not doing shit. But the show was on the air, so all the kids that were watching the show loved it because I guess they were like, oh, this guy's insulting the products while he's doing. Yeah. So then they wanted to keep me. Right. So I lucked out that I was so snotty that kids were like, ah, ha, ha, like they liked it. And then suddenly the advertisement's like, oh yeah, do him his way, you know.
That's great. And how did you get onto SNL from there?
Well, then after MTV was over, I was right back to like, I had to move back in with my mother. She was living in Bay Ridge at the time. And I had to move in with my mother. And people would see me on the block going, was you just on TV? And I was back, I had no money. Because MTV didn't really pay that much. Right. And it was just a combination of things. I don't know, but I ended up literally living with my mother and my niece in this apartment. And so then I ended up getting a writing job on Living Color. So I moved to LA, and Living Color was in its last couple of years. So they brought me on to write for that show. So that gave me enough to live on. And then SNL hired me as a writer. And then once I was on there, I started doing stuff on there.
Was it weird to take over for Norm Macdonald? Was it awkward?
The weirdest, yeah, it was really awkward.
Yeah.
It was bad. Like, speaking of social media, at that time, social media was almost new. People just barely, I don't know if it was MySpace or whatever, but it just started. And I was one of the first people that had to deal with the fact that this new guy sucks, you're fat, you fat neck. I'm sick and tired of seeing his stupid face. And I was like, what the heck? I was so mad, but like, it was like I was one of the first people that had to deal with like feedback on that digital level, right, that people didn't like you.
From all over the globe.
Yeah, and it was really interesting.
Huh. So do you watch Saturday Night Live now? Do you think it's changed drastically from when you were there?
No, I mean, I watch it once in a while, but I mean, I'll watch it like everybody else, watch it online on Tuesday morning or something, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, let's see what this one is. And it's the same. I mean, it's the same as when I was there. Like, I see it from the side of like, I'm like, oh, that person. I would just imagine how it was trying to get that sketch on. Right. So when I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I bet that. And look at that person. I could tell their lines got cut. They're just standing there in the back like, why they have me in this guy? So you know it from like whatever, like anything else. You just look at the different angles,
Yeah. I'm going to change topics to like something that you have your 1-year anniversary coming up.
Oh, my heart attack?
Yeah. That happened on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
How has that changed you?
And don't worry, my girlfriend noted it at the time. She goes, yeah, Valentine's Day, interesting.
People, that's pretty drastic to get out of Valentine's Day.
You don't have to be Carl Jung to figure out that one. And I just had a heart attack. I just came out of the gym, and I was like, oh man, I pulled a muscle. And then I was like, oh shoot, I think I'm having a heart attack. And then next thing you know, I'm in the ambulance, and I was like losing air. And I'm like, I said, I might die right now because I'm losing air and I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, it hurts. A heart attack, like, physically hurts. Like, I didn't think it hurt. I thought you went numb. You don't go numb. It's like something pushing, like, it's my elbow in your heart. I was like, ah. And then I was like, I could actually die. It was so weird because I always thought I thought it'd be like, doctor sit me down and go, listen, you have 2 years. Get your affairs in order. Take care of business. I put out all my mission statements online. Visit all my enemies, get forgiveness from all my, past thing. And then, but no, it was like this. Sometimes it just ends. You forget about that. Forget about that part of dying. Yeah. Sometimes it's not a big dramatic 2-year,
Yeah.
bad movie of the week type thing. It's just, you just die.
So did you change anything in that last year?
Yeah, I mean, I changed. I mean, everyone's like, do you change your diet? But I'm like, look, if they're giving me medication, like heavy medication, it's disrespectful to science and the advances they've made. If I then take the medication and don't trust that their medication works by having to change my diet.
Right.
That's my theory.
But have you visited enemies and
The enemies? No, I haven't visited them yet because but yeah, I do think in terms of like, what would I do if I really only had a finite amount of time to live? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I do. I mean, I know I'm going to die now. Like before I kind of knew, but you never really, you don't know for sure until you actually die. You're like, oh no, this is going to happen. But it hasn't, it doesn't have like this big effect on you that you want it to, where you're like, hey man, everything's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still annoyed by every little thing, just city, driving around, fucking on a train. Everything's just, the same.
So as a comedian, you've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
Has it changed drastically now with the what you can do, and has that changed what you do, or you have a pass?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can only do what you think is funny. Of course, everything changes. You know what I mean? Like everything starts out for the right reasons. I think, people, even political correctness started out for the right reasons, but eventually it becomes mob rule where everybody's like, you feel good telling people, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, people can't say this. So it starts out for a good reason. And then it becomes twisted by just the general idea of, everybody just gets involved, But I mean, comedy it has changed. It has changed in the sense that there's a lot of things that don't get discussed in comedy just because people are like, that's off limits. And, that's stupid because it's comedy. You're supposed to discuss certain things if you can make them funny. That being said, so a lot of people will be like, well, I want to say what I want to say. And a lot of, I find myself defending the rights of comedians to say things sometimes. I'm like, I don't even agree with that. I don't even like what you're saying. But I still got to defend it on general principle just because I'm a comedian. You know what I mean? So, you stick it with the idea, even though I'm like, I got to defend your dumb joke. I don't even find it funny. It's shock humor. I don't go for that,
Right.
So it's a weird, it's a weird time for everybody with everything, I feel like. And comedy's just one of those other things.
Yeah, and your show, you do that. You are very blunt about different topics that...
Oh, yeah, I've always, like I said, I feel like if you make it funny, then people are more likely to go, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, you do a celebrity roast of the states.
Oh yeah.
So each one, you call out all of them and give them something. Was any of those hard to do? Do you want to share any of those right now?
I'll share them, but I don't think they're hard to do. I mean, I don't think they're hard. The New York story was more like people you're talking about everybody's ethnicity, but people liked it because everybody thought, obviously he's not trying to attack. I'm not trying to slip anything by anybody.
Right.
I feel like that's a big problem in comedy. If you're trying to be slick and say something without taking ownership of it, then you're going to be in trouble. But my state ones is I say New York, I just talk about how the fall of every state. New York was once the home of drunken writers at the Algonquin Round Table, and now it's drunken texters at SantaCon, and then Massachusetts, where once Sam Adams, pouring tea into Boston Harbor, and now it's Fenway fans pouring Sam Adams onto Yankee outfielders' heads. And I go over all the, just mocking every state as they come along.
It's great. It was funny, very funny.
Thanks, yeah.
And before I ask my last question, we have 2 microphones, so if you want to ask something, feel free.
Wait, what about you? What about your state, Virginia?
Virginia?
I go, Virginia, the snobs of the South. Stop trying to be Connecticut, you hayseeds. Sorry.
This is good. No, that's funny.
I think that's funny.
Again, we're going to have questions, so feel free to line up if you have questions for Colin. Last one, you've hosted a comics talk show, tough crowd.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
Thanks.
Very tough. You helped our troops with your USO tours.
Oh, yeah, we did a USO tour.
So nice. And you know, you have you've had online shows, Cop Show.
Cop Show. It's my baby.
And so, like, what's next? More directing, writing? What's going on?
I would like to do more cop shows now that you mentioned this. That's really you know what I mean? In fact, now that I'm here at Google, I might as well say, the problem with Cop Show is that you didn't watch it, and you guys know how to get it up. It's got like 100,000 views per show. You need like 8 million. Mm-hmm. It's too late anyway, but go watch it, it's funny. I was gonna pull a strategy move, and I was like, I'm over my head. I don't know what I'm talking about. So everybody just watch it. It is funny, though.
It is funny.
It's funny, right? I swear to God, it's funny. If you don't like it, you see me in the street, you punch me in the face. Obviously, it's my go-to move, getting punched in the face.
All right, we'll go to the questions.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I watched A New York Story a few years ago, and I thought it was great.
Thanks.
I went to the Minetto Lane Theater. But my question for you is, you touched on this a little bit, but there's a lot of controversy around what some comedians talk about, like certain topics having to be off limits, you know, like racial jokes or sexuality jokes and things like that. And I struggle with that personally because some of the jokes I do find funny personally. So I have that own struggle myself. I'm like, oh shoot, like I don't want to laugh, but it's making me laugh. Like, what is your perspective on that? Like, should some of these jokes be off limits? And you know, that internal struggle that some people may have, like, is it warranted? Should we move past it? Because I don't necessarily think that everyone's bigoted, but I understand the rationale for not having these jokes. So it's sort of a struggle for me personally.
Yeah, well, it's a good question because everybody gets offended by something. I always quote this guy, Jack Simmons, who was a comedian from the 80s, where I'm from, and the place where I came from, but he used to always go on stage, and when people would moan, he would go, "Come on, folks, it's comedy. Somebody's got to get hurt," and that's the thing. So we've just shifted what's offensive now. So it's kind of like there's things that offend me, there's things that offend you, and like I say in the show, you know, I say since they've gotten rid of ethnic humor from mainstream society because they felt it encourages racism, I go, that's proven. Racism is gone. So it was a great success. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's too much focus on stand-up material. Stand-up is not nice, and sometimes people say things that make me mad in stand-up all the time. But like you say, if you're laughing, you shouldn't feel like, why am I laughing at this? You know, like suddenly it makes you into, you know, something there's no, what do they call it? Suspension of disbelief, which is a term that always bugged me because I think it's supposed to be a suspension of belief and suspension of disbelief. But another time. But anyway, the point is, like when you're in a movie, you say, okay, I'm going into this world. And stand-up, I know it's not the same thing. There is a lot more truth to stand-up. So it isn't all just jokes. I get it, but yeah, I feel like it's going down a path that I can't imagine how there'll be jokes in 5 years, because if everything falls under the standard of, you know what, that group of people, that's a little bit off the. I mean, you'll see it now, like in stand-up, like somebody will say say any name of any group, and people are like, oh, like they just before they even get to the joke. So it's like people say celebrate diversity, just don't point out anybody's different. You know what I mean? So there is there's got to be at some point. Somebody's got to come with a clear point of like what it is. You know, it's just people marking down, okay, that's a 8.5. We're just going to have to start doing it based on, out of 10, how offensive is that joke? And how wrong am I for enjoying it to 0.4? You know what I mean? Because stand-up gets to be this weird place where we might as well be in 1950s at a glee club where you just like everything's positive. I mean, stand-up, everything's negative. That's what it's about. So I don't know, but personally, I don't like it. I'll say that. I don't think it's good for stand-up And I think most stand-ups agree with me that it's weird. And you don't want it to become the kind of thing where stand-up is just a motivational speaking or people are just lecturing the audience, which happens a lot. Sometimes I feel like where suddenly everyone's like, now this is what goes on. And you're like, okay, we're within the parameters. Like stand-up punches down sometimes. It doesn't just punch. People are like, stand-up shouldn't punch down. Yeah, it should. It punches up, it punches down, it elbows you in the side of the face. It's dirty. Stand-up is wrong. You know what I mean? So that's the other part of it that's kind of getting into a weird area. I realize that I've spent the last 8 minutes answering this question, and don't think I'm not aware that I've said nothing. But such are the times we live in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can you speak in your Northern Irish accent for the next, until you're done?
For the next how long?
What?
For how long?
Just until we're done, I guess. Or until someone tells you, please don't speak in Irish accent because I don't understand you.
Yes, I will. I'll do it like that.
Awesome, thank you.
And I'll tell you something else. I hope Irish people don't see it because they might think it stinks.
Okay.
I'll give you the out and answer this however you feel most comfortable. So when you talk about the evolution of stand-up comedy, especially political commentary, like thinking back to Lenny Bruce, Bill Hicks, where we are now, is it easier? Is it harder? Is it just the exact same situation? Like, are we in a different place? Or have audiences evolved? Have comedians evolved? Or are we just stuck on a loop?
From those days, you mean? Yeah, I mean, this is going to be another long-winded one. I'm just warning you ahead of time. I can sense I'm going to be rambling again. But it's evolved. It's going to be too long. It's evolved and devolved at the same time. I really am a big mouth. But I mean, it's evolved in that people, like when I was doing comedy in the 80s, people would just get away with murder, just cheap things, be like, that's not even funny. It's just the shock or the whatever of the audience. So now people are listening more, which is good. But it's devolved in the sense that everybody, I feel like there's almost like a film, like a fake film over everything. So when people speak, it's almost like we all agree like, okay, you're saying this exists that we know doesn't exist, and then the jokes will come within this fake world we've created. It wasn't as long as the other one, but it was just as hard to figure out. I don't even know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean? I just feel like there's something very fake going on, and it's infected stand-up too, where people are like, it should be appropriate, stand-up should be appropriate. It's like, no, the whole point of stand-up is it's not appropriate. It's kind of, I mean, part of the fun of a stand-up show is like, oh my God, come on, man, that's too much. You know what I mean? And now it's like sort of like, that too much is based on something fake. So people are almost forcing themselves, I'm single-handedly bringing down the stand-up industry right now. We're going to go, I don't want to go to a comedy club if it sucks as bad as he says. But I'm saying there's still a lot of great stand-up out there. Hey, still a lot of great stand-up. But I mean, there's something, when it comes to politics or whatever, there's just a general feeling of appropriate that's not what stand-up is to me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, Colin Quinn. Red State, Blue State.
Thanks.
Playing until March 16th at the Minetta Lane Theater. And we thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.